Today is World Water Day, and the theme this year is glacier preservation. The aim is to highlight the vital role that glaciers play in preserving freshwater supplies worldwide. For more, we're now joined by Professor Timothy Dube, the Director of the Institute for Water Studies at the University of the Western Cape. Prof. Dube, good evening. Thank you so much for your time. Appreciate it. Glaciers are an ancient and almost unique sense of water preservation that perhaps we don't know much about on this side of the world, but it's widely used around the world. About 2 billion people across the world rely on glacier meltdowns for fresh drinking water. But glaciers seem to be disappearing at alarming rates. What does that mean for global water supply?
Good evening and greetings to your viewers. Thanks very much.
Prof. Dube, we can hear you loud and clear. You can go for it.
Okay. Thanks very much. And good evening to you and your viewers. Currently, as we are aware, like you have already stated, we are facing a lot of what I can say climate change, and the impacts are largely visible. So glaciers, they play a critical role because they release water to our streams and lakes, as well as to our groundwater systems, supporting drinking water, irrigation, industry and energy, and all other sectors that you can think about. So, like you have narrated, the way they are melting now, it's at a very, very, very faster rate, and that is quite alarming. If you look at the WMO, the World Meteorological Organization report or global report, they indicate that the largest glacial loss was recorded in the last 3 years. So this demonstrates that we are losing so much of frozen water, which is quite critical for our daily needs. And this is quite something that is alarming, like you have stated.
Yeah.
And as the UN has sort of noted this particular day and recognized it as the World Water Day, it's very critical, and it's quite pleasing to see that even South Africa is a country, we really celebrate this particular day.
Prof, I read a paper.
Awareness.
I read part of a paper that you had co-authored on remote sensing for assessing and monitoring land use and land water coverages, importantly focusing on semi-arid and tropical areas and environments, which is what South Africa in part is, or many parts of sub-Saharan Africa at least. This ultimately is a paper about determining predictions for water availability into the future. Are you worried as you predict water availability into the future?
Yeah, thanks very much. Yeah, the amount of water availability and also quantity, it's quite worrisome, because we have a lot of our some kind of challenges that we are facing currently as a country, as a region, but also as a continent and globally. So you'll realize that the population is growing very fast at an alarming rate as well. That means there is a huge footprint that the Earth is currently experiencing, and that footprint, it means there is a lot of impact on our water resources, on other natural resources, which also we depend on, and they demand water. And we have issues to do with agriculture. You know, like South Africa is one of the countries that depend on agriculture as part of its economy, and other countries that are kind of developing. So when you look at it based on that paper, you'll realize that there is a lot of land use change that is happening, and the implications are quite massive, especially on the catchments, or should I say strategic water towers across the country. We have areas like, for instance, in South Africa that are designated as strategic water towers. And if you check on those, and adding on to the issues of climate change, we currently experience a lot of invasive species occurring in those places, extracting a lot of water from the catchment, and such reservoirs are quite critical for our sustenance. And also have agricultural practices that require a lot of water use from these particular catchments or strategic water towers. So these changes are occurring at an alarming rate. And it means that we are kind of running towards water shortage, like we have experienced here in South Africa. There was in Cape Town, we had there was a time when we talked about day zero, so to say, and that was somehow happening when water rationing was kind of enforced by the Western Cape or the city of Cape Town. So that's quite alarming and worrisome, and I think we need a lot of effort towards ensuring the conservation of these critical that supply water.
Yeah, Prof. Dube, we're going to have to leave it there. Thank you so much for your time and your insights. I really do appreciate it. Fascinating paper that you and your colleagues had put together on that. Prof. Timothy Dube is the director at the Institute of Water Studies at the University of the Western Cape.